Dr. King is.
That is true.
And I'm saying
a lot of young people.
It means nothing to them. It means nothing to them. And there are some older people who could care less. So how do we, Dr. King, in my opinion, he would change his strategy. Because even at the end of his life, he realized that, man, yeah, we're voting, but nothing has changed for us.
Yeah, but he was moving towards economic justice, though, Leon. The question of no, it's not even. I mean, it's significant. I think his last book, "Where Do We Go From Here," dealt a lot with economics. But then we also remember the Operation Breadbasket, in terms of holding companies accountable, in terms of not delivering, for black folks and all of that. So I think economic justice has not been mutually exclusive. It has been mutually inclusive. But I think I'll submit to you, to your point, that perhaps we tend to perhaps have focused more on civil rights at the expense of giving maybe economic justice an equal or bigger platform as it required, or as it should have required when it comes to civil rights.
Right. So my question, and I hang up to both you and your guest, frankly, is that in you guys' opinion, what do you think black folks, and this is not race, a race talk, what do you think black folks need to do in 2018 to have impact in America? And stop, I'm saying from an economic standpoint, because there are black folks who have money. I'm talking about money, not, and I'm saying, where do we go from here? I mean, do we keep chasing our tail like a dog? Or, I mean, because this is getting old, really.
No, I hear you, brother. Thank you so much, Leon. Bill, to Leon's question, though, I think it's a deeper question, a philosophical question. And it's a textbook question, because where do we go from here? And the question of economics. And 50 years later, it doesn't seem as if much has changed. In fact, I think I was reading a report that was assessing, Lyndon Johnson's Great Society. And, the war on poverty 50 years later, more people have actually gone into poverty. You have about 44 million people today in poverty.
Well, I hear his point, and it's a point well taken. But I cannot look around and say that there has been no progress. Because there has been tremendous progress. Quite a number of African Americans have made it to the point where they are independently wealthy. Quite a number of African Americans have made it into the middle class. And what we have to recognize is that in 1968, when Dr. King was assassinated, he was working on the matter of economic justice.
Right.
But it did not die with him, because there were others who have taken up that the sign of racial of economic justice since Dr. King's death. We saw that with Operation Push and Jesse Jackson. We saw it with Leon Sullivan, Reverend Leon Sullivan, and his efforts, the Sullivan principles, and his efforts to force open the doors of corporate America.
Leon Sullivan was the first black to sit on the board of directors for General Motors.
And, in my day, I had the privilege of actually briefing him on the efforts that GM was making in economic justice. The fact of the matter is things are better, but we also have to take advantage of what doors have opened for us.
Right.
Education, get it. Nobody can take that away from you. It's not about being white, it's about being green, because you can't have the green unless you've got the brain power. The next thing is that take advantage of the opportunities that are presented to you, whether they are here or elsewhere. One of the reasons why people don't make it is they tend to stay where they are. I mean, if there are opportunities in other places in the United States, a lot of our young people have recognized that there are opportunities in Atlanta or Austin or Dallas or Los Angeles, and they've left. Well, we need to figure out how to create opportunities for them here, or recognize that they are going to go where opportunities are and encourage them to seek those opportunities. The last thing we need to do is, it's not just a matter of economic justice. You can't have economic justice without protecting it with political power. The two go hand in hand. And when only 21% of the electorate in the city of Detroit goes out to vote, you are giving away your economic power because you are not protecting it with the political power that you have in your own hands.
And that will explain why you have Detroit as the largest poverty city in America. Let's go to John. John has a question or comment.
Yeah, good afternoon, Baker Lady. Thank you for a very, very insightful knowledge and information about what went on. Listen, Baker Lady, that Leon asked you what should we do now. Same doggone thing we did 50 years ago. Get up and stand up with your back straight. They can't ride your back. Stand up and fight and protest, demonstration, boycott. That's what you got to do. You got to do the same thing you did 50 years ago, because you still have these same circumstances going on today and so forth. And Leon said I guess he just paralysis analysis, but the word is that people got to understand what you think you got up there in the legend right now. You got a Jim Crow flag up there and so forth. Let's call it like it is, and don't be sugarcoating. You got a sugarcoated racist thing up there in the White House and so forth. So, I mean, that's my personal opinion about it. And you just can't sit in one place. The thing that Dr. King told, they got to learn how to stick together. That's the most important thing of all and so forth.
Right.
And I just want to thank you, Baker, and your guest there, because knowledge is power, and the more knowledge you take out, the more education you got to teach these African Americans and so forth. And they're not sticking together, and they're not learning history and so forth. That's got me Reverend Senator, they're walking around with 2 cell phones in their pocket. They should be organized, everybody in the city, and so forth. Thank you, Baker. Have a good week.
Thank you so much, John. Let's go to Fidel. Fidel has a question or comment.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. In all due respects, I just want to disagree.
Sure, go ahead.
It's all an illusion. And what I mean by that, there is no difference from what went on then and what's going on now. We still have the highest unemployment. Still, illiterate rate is still at the highest. We own absolutely nothing. We don't even grow our own food. We have no medicine. We have no hospitals, and we have no schools. As long as we keep telling our people that it's getting better, it's just an illusion. We was getting shot, hung, killed, dead in the street. We getting shot now in the street by the so-called law enforcement. Your 1-2%ers and these rich Jews run this world. So until people start hitting it where it really belongs, just going to go on for another 400 or 500 years. And that's all I have to say. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, Fidel. On social media, Yvonne Wesley said, we have very little unity as blacks, even less than we had several years ago. And Yvonne also said Dr. King would be disgusted. Black on black crime, police brutality, injustice, and all that he fought for, we have not adapted yet. The question of unity, though, and, you know, and obviously it wasn't like there was a kumbaya climate or era back then when Dr. King was alive, right? I mean, there were divisions, right? But still, despite all those divisions, I think there was an understanding that there's a bigger mission here, right? Eyes on the prize. That in fact, you know, it's reported that, you know, Thurgood Marshall was not, you know, Dr. King was not Thurgood Marshall's favorite. You know, Thurgood Marshall was, you know, that kind of thing. So, I mean, there were skirmishes here and there among civil rights leaders and so forth, but it still did not distract them away from, you know, the larger goal, which is to liberate black people in the sense of guaranteeing them civil and voting rights and so forth. But today, it's a different dispensation, though, because when you look at Detroit, a city that has so much history, a city that is that occupies an important place, not just a footnote in the civil rights history, and ministers in the city, clergy in the city have a very prideful history, a very grand history of being front and center of economic justice and so forth. But today, there are very few ministers that are speaking on poverty in this town. There are very few ministers you will see stand up and speak out about the fact that water is being shut off. There are very few ministers in the city that will stand up and stand with Maureen Taylor from the Michigan Welfare Rights Organization, I mean, whose office I visited Central United, and she will show you documents of families or people, individuals who have died waiting for support from the government. There are very few ministers who will stand with a Maureen Taylor. There are very few ministers who will come out and say, look, I'm standing in support of this, Mr. Mayor, City Council, what you're doing is not right. There are very, very few ministers, as opposed to the 50s and the 60s and the 70s, where you had the legacy of a C.L. Franklin, the legacy of Albert Clayton, and the Strand of Black Madonna. I mean, you have this great thread of history here, and today there's a big disconnect because it's as if what is happening today is really not connected to the past.
Well, I would say this. Let's look at it first from the outside, and that is that in the 1950s, in the 60s, we were looking at black versus white. And it was very clear when whites were opposed to blacks, and we were forced to be in a ghetto, the three ghettos that Martin Luther King talked about, with the primary one being the ghetto of race. We could never escape being black.
Right.
Today, people can try to escape being black by the power of the color green. Many people today believe that if I've got enough money, nothing can be done to me because I am black. Now, I want to let folks know that that's a lie. You can believe it if you want to, but the fact of the matter is it's a lie. But there are so many today that are not united around being black and what we can do for the African-American community, so much as what the power of the green dollar can do for us as individuals. Consumerism absorbs America. Consumerism absorbs black Americans. Why should it be any different for the black ministry? It's these days we find more ministers focused on how large a sanctuary they can build,
right?
How many members they can have in their church, as opposed to what can we do for the larger African American community,
as opposed to how many people are dying under the freezing weather, right?
Well, they ain't tithing.
Yeah. It's very troubling though, because as if what is happening today is not connected to history, and there is no reason why. I think part of the problem is that we have too many leaders who are not leaders.
Yeah, we have folks we have pretend leaders. We have folks who are oftentimes,
because people are not going to come on the radio and say, but these are conversations we have at dinner table. These are conversations we have, at the bar. These are conversations we have smoking cigars. These are conversations we have in the community where we know certain people, and we say to ourselves, why isn't Bill Knox saying anything? I know he said this last week, but why is he so quiet on this issue? Because actually, this issue is his wheelhouse. It's so obvious. We said it among ourselves. Now, we're not going to call into the radio, and say it loud, or write a press release and call out Bill Knox, but we know very well that it's in his wheelhouse. And why is he so silent?
I welcome you to call me out on the radio.